Aloha. Well, let's look at another form or pepeke that's commonly used in Hawaiian language. It's called the Kālele ʻākena. And the first thing is to break down the meaning of the word. Let me kind of change this color here of the word Kālele. And the word Kālele means to emphasize, to put stress upon, like to put your weight upon something. Kālele. And the word ʻākena is something we use often also. And ʻākena comes from the English word agent. And anytime you hear the word agent, you should always kind of connect it with some kind of action or some kind of, more importantly, a responsibility to the action, that someone is responsible for the action. So the first thing to remember, that as an action, these are all hana. So these are sentences in which the painu has to be a hana. It has to be a VD or a VI. So in these sentences, there are no VSs and there are no ia. Yeah, these are only actions in which there is agency. So the first thing to think about what this means is, first of all, to understand what Kālele ʻākena does. And so we use the word na in Hawaiian as the po'o to put emphasis, to put stress upon who or by whom is responsible for a particular action. Yeah, so these are examples. In fact, when we ask the question navai, it is not asking who, it's really asking by whom, like who has responsibility for a particular action, navai. So even just the question, navai, means by whom, who is responsible, navai. So it really is that kind of focus of an action. So you think about in English, if I'm going to say, who's going to take out the garbage? Navai. And I responded, for example, I will. It is I. And we use the term na'u. And you notice it's not navao, but na'u in that format, just like the possession format, na'u. Or if I'm going to say, who's going to take out the rubbish? Navai. I might respond, now. It is you. You will, or you have your responsibility. And the last, navai, and I might say, nana. It is he, it is her. They, that person has the responsibility, nana. Yeah. So these are one format in which you have a, what's called the possessive pronoun form. When you have a single, me, we have the you, and of course, he or she who perform the action. Now, other ways to respond to this are basically to fill that blank space. So anytime I ask the question, navai, I can say, na kimo. It's kimo. Kimo is the responsible party. I might say, na ke kumu. It's the teacher, na ke kumu. I might say, na lawa. It is they, or they are the ones who will be or shall be responsible for a particular action. So in reality, it's pretty easy in regards to respond to this question. And just remember, the only time you have the contractions of na'u, now, and nana. So these are the only contractions. Everything else will be, in fact, two words. And in fact, a real easy one to remember also is when someone asks, who performed an action or who's responsible for an action. And I want to just basically say, was somebody else, meaning it wasn't me, was somebody else. And we answer that by saying, naha'i is a common one also. So when I say naha'i, what it means, in fact, is was somebody else, not me. Okay. Now, in regards to the makapainu in a Kālele ʻākena, if I were to say something in English to the fact of that is generic, right? Think of makapainu that's generic, yeah. Habitual. I wash clothes. Who washes the clothes? Who's responsible? I do. I wash it, na'u. And in Hawaiian, when I express that idea of generic, unlike the pepeke painu that doesn't have a makapainu, for a Kālele ʻākena, we always use the e. And so the e, in fact, also means in the sense of something that somebody will habitually do. They have the responsibilities of na'u, e holoi kalole. It is I who washes the close. That's what I do. And na'u e holoi. Now, in regards to the other makapaino, if you look on the left side here, we know just like the negative, the ʻaole, very much in the same way, ua becomes e. Yeah. Na'u e holoi, it is I who washed, completed action. Na'u e holoi nei, it is I who is washing. Na'u e holoi nei kalole, that's what I'm doing right now. Na'u, my responsibility in washing the clothes right now. I can also use the ʻēana, both in the past progressive. Na'u e holoiana I kalole I nehine. Na'u e holoiana I kalole I nehine. It was I who was washing. It was washing, past progressive. And also, na'u e holoiana I kalole I keia po. Na'u e holoiana I kalole I keia po. It is I who will be washing. Yeah, the idea like the future can also be expressed with the ʻēana also. So you notice, one of the things you notice, it's pretty much exactly like the whole ole, the negative makapaino. Ole. The only difference, in fact, is this one here. And when it's a habitual, unlike the ole, which has no makapaino, for the habitual, you will always use the e. And the last one here, na'u e holoi, and you notice, yeah, the e, of course, has that meaning similar to this one here, which in fact means basically would, should, shall, must, ought to, that sense of commitment, that sense of will do. Yeah, na'u e holoi. And that's basically the makapaino, but the main thing to remember is that it's always a hana, it's always an action, yeah, VT or VI. In fact, what you notice, in fact, most times it actually be VT. Yeah, and then, you know, it's more rare, in fact, VI. But it's never a VS, so you should never have something like na'u e loa'a, na'u e makaukau, na'u e ma'i, and so forth. And you'll never have the ia also as the paini. Yeah, so always and only for hana, always and only for actions, and always in that sense of pointing that finger at who has, think of it, who has kuleana. Yeah. So when someone says, hey, who'll pick up the kids? Now vai e ki'i na keiki. Na'u e ki'i na keiki. Now e ki'i na keiki. Nana e ki'i na keiki. In other words, you're always answering the question of who has the responsibility, who has control over that action. And that's why you cannot say, you know, na'u e ma'i, it is I who will be sick. Sickness is not an action. And that's the Kālele ʻākena. Again, just to break it down, Kālele, to stress any kind of agency. Okay. So let's look at the negatives also. Now in the negative Kālele ʻākena, which is probably as easy as the Kālele ʻākena, and what you'll notice pretty simply, again, it's still focusing on stressing the agency. But we're going to stress it in regards to negative. In other words, when someone says, not that I will cook dinner, but I will cook dinner. It's not up to me. It's not my responsibility. It's not my kuleana. It's not my action to control. And really, as you can see, simply what we do is we just add the ʻaole right in front. So it's a pretty simple. So I could take something like, for example, na'u e kuke. It is I who will cook. Yeah, na'u e kuke. That's what I'll do. I have the responsibility to cook. Incomplete. I'll cook. I should cook. I ought to cook. It is I who take on that action. And to make that negative, pretty simply, we just add ʻaole as a new po'o right in front. So na'u e kuke, to negate, ʻaole na'u e kuke. Yeah, it's not I, ʻaole na'u. So real simply, you can see when you want to say, not me, I'm not the one who's supposed to perform an action. All you're really doing is adding ʻaole in front, ʻaole na'u. Hey, not you, ʻaole now. It's not going to be kimo, ʻaole na kimo. And you know, that's basically the way you negate a Kālele ʻākena.